Hey guys!
Let's get it on.
So today we're going to be exploring characterization in our books. I have Invisible Man.
I have On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous.
And I have Jasmine.
Alright.
And Veronica's going to start us off.
Okay, so my book is largely focused on characterization. I think especially in these last few chapters, my main character, Jane. First, I'll be talking about the main characters so you guys get a feel of how they relate to her. I put Bud, which is her current husband, the man she's pregnant with right now, and then their adopted son, that's a Vietnamese little boy, and then her dad and family, and how this is indirect because even though they're not presently there with her, they're still having an effect on her to this day. And I chose my quote of, "We murder who we were so we can rebirth ourselves in the image of our dream." And I think this quote is really resonates with these final chapters. This quote really resonates with these final chapters because it's talking about kind of her immigrant experience, and it focuses on, I think, how many immigrants could relate to this. They have to let go of all their past and detach themselves from everything that they had once identified with and once been so culturally associated with, and then just kind of clear themselves of that image so they can start fresh and give themselves a brand new fresh canvas to express themselves and identify and assimilate with new cultures and kind of learn new cultures and everything new so that they can I guess fit in with society and yeah.
Okay.
That's mine.
Okay, next I'm gonna do my book. So since we, just got an intro to the character, so the mom is really kind of rough and showing tough love, the son is kind of small and timid, and the grandma is schizophrenic. I've learned more about the grandma's past and how it informs both of their current lives. So the grandma was half white, and one time she was coming back into her village at night, and these two American men stopped her. And the way I interpreted it, because she had a child, is that they wanted to either shoot her or rape her, and that the only way she could get out of that was by peeing herself in front of them. And so the way that the narrator describes it is that every time she tells this story, little details change. So instead of the baby crying, the baby's laughing, or instead of a green vest, he's wearing a navy vest or something like that. And it ultimately results to you get the same message out of it, the same values out of it every time, and the time and the place kind of end up being things that are inconsequential. The past is not something that is set in stone, and every time you go back to it and think about it, little things change. And also, something I like about this book is how the narrator draws really interesting metaphors. So I did not know in Southeast Asia, it's really popular to hunt the monkey macaques because of their brains. Men will round up or get one single monkey, and they'll get it drunk with vodka or drugs or something, and they'll bring it, and they'll all gather around a table or something, and while the monkey's still alive, they'll cut its head open, and they'll have the brain exposed, and they'll eat the brain. They will share the brain to eat it, and it's supposed to make them more wise. It's supposed to make them less impotent, and the more the monkey's raging under them and trying to escape and all this stuff, the better it is. And they're doing it for their family. They feel like they're going to pass something down to their children for this. So while it may seem incredibly brutal and disgusting, it's ultimately in their eyes something honorable because they're doing it for their family. And a line is drawn between that and how these American soldiers are coming in and it's draining the life, they're draining out of the monkey, draining the life out of Vietnam in order to protect their country. That's how they see it in their eyes. Also, that just characterizes the grandma as somebody who's a lot wiser than she seems, and also very regretful because in the middle of this story, the grandma admits that she had to turn to sex work to survive during the war, and she just bursts into tears, repeating what her mom said to her about how a woman who leaves her husband is rotten and disgusting. Also, the mom, because of this war and what her grandma was doing to protect her, her mom never got a proper education. So her schoolhouse was blown up in an air raid when she was 5, and she never stepped foot in the classroom again. So even as an adult, she can't really communicate in English at all, and Vietnamese more than a second grade level for anything they need. And where we see the main character, Little Dog, kind of shift is that he becomes the family's interpreter, and he's really getting proficient at English to try and carry that weight because nobody in their family could communicate otherwise. So yeah, I'm seeing the mom is more street smart, I guess, or she's really doing the best she can because she doesn't have that much to work with. And the son as a lot more, I guess, considerate than I did before.
Okay. For my book, I wanted to specifically talk about a part that happened earlier on in the story, but kind of carried weight within my main character of my story. I know I mentioned it before, but I just want to say it again, that this book takes place in 1930s, and the main character is an African American man. So he's a black man in American society, and it's rough for him. And at the start of the story, this must be the first or second page, his grandpa dies, and the last thing his grandpa says to him before he takes the bucket is that throughout his entire life he was a traitor and he was a spy, and that he needs to Ralph, the main character, needs to break out from that and change his ways. And when he died, there was more than just Ralph in the room. Everyone was really looking at him like he was crazy for saying that, because it was a last spur thing, his literal last energy to tell that to Ralph. And Ralph just remembers hating his grandpa for saying that. He hated to hear that from him, a spy. I don't understand. And what I took from it is that the grandpa was really saying all his life he's basically gone against any sort of he's working for the white people in his life, and he's working towards aiding them, and every step and milestone that he's made in his career and his life ultimately ends up just putting food on their plates, and it doesn't really help out his community. And that's what he was trying to tell Ralph in a way. Ralph didn't want to hear that. I feel he's struggling with both his internal conflict with wanting to get away from the dynamic of having to be just someone that's going to end up helping white people only with the career he chooses, versus wanting to be his own person, having his own individuality. And he talks about that when he goes off to college as well, because right now he's in a really tough situation, because he had to drive around one of the founders of the college, who was a white man, and he ended up taking him to this bar, I guess I'll call it, because he got really sick. He kept passing out unconscious, and while he was there he got scraped on the head, the white guy. And when they got back, the I don't know if you call it director of the college, but it's the guy who's running it right there, who's a black man who has high standing in society, he's made it. But Ralph talks about not liking Dr. Bledsoe, who's the guy who runs the college right now, because of just how much he sucks up to the founders and all the other white people that made this whole college specifically for black people. And he speaks about how no matter what, unlike Dr. Bledsoe, these other people can't even touch white people if they wanted to. But Dr. Bledsoe was always touching them and sucking up to them. And just his entire legacy is built upon being this stepping stone for white people. And that really bothers Ralph in a way. But he doesn't say it very well. He just knows that it bothers him to see it. And I feel that's where he is right now, in this state of mind where he doesn't really know how to push away from what society expects from him, while also still wanting to be his own person.
Okay.
Bro, mine was so short. I thought
let's do the outro and then we're done.
Okay. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll get it on next time. Can I call you, bro?